Every Wednesday morning after our 10 a.m. update, we turn our attention to the nation's capital and the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering the capital with neither politics nor punditry. That would be the Blacklocks Reporter. You can find their great work online at blacklocks.ca. Well worth the subscription because you get the stuff there that you don't get anywhere else. Tom Korski is the managing editor of the Blacklocks Reporter and joins us for these weekly chats. Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Mike.
I think if I'm I don't know, it's more than one hand I have to count on, but it might have been 7 years ago we started trying to get some legislation passed on internet controls. How are we doing on that up in Ottawa?
It is. I guess they're counting on 3 times lucky today. They're going to table their bill. Interestingly, in the dying minutes of the spring session of the spring sitting of the House, they're scheduled to go on their long summer adjournment on the 19th, so a week from Friday. Why has this failed? Well, a couple of reasons. It's always overreach. They started out, Cabinet has had a fetish for internet control. By the way, they will talk about public safety. They will talk about hate speech. All of that is irrelevant because Parliament in 1970 passed a hate crimes law. This is not about child pornography or meth dealers on the net. This is nothing about that. This is regulation of legal internet content that may hurt someone's feelings. That's the problem, Mike. And they've run across, left, right, and center, right across the political spectrum. Critics who've said this is government overreach. It's probably unconstitutional. We'll see what the bill is going to say this afternoon, Mike. But I have to tell you, the Cabinet has been a slow learner on this. And the original iterations of their proposal, they were going to have, I'm going to keep this short, they were going to have a digital safety commissioner take complaints in secret, behind closed doors, with powers to block websites. Well, you might as well live in the Soviet Union. This was their starting place. Good luck.
Yeah, well, no wonder it's taken that long, because when you're starting there, yeah, for sure. Okay, I think we know this pretty well. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And I guess it's good to be the brother of our Deputy Defense Minister.
When the Deputy Defense Minister is your sister, you know, something interesting happens. And I can tell you one thing that happens. If you're a startup, and I mean you don't really have a head office, you don't have a factory, you don't have a research lab, but you have a company, you registered a company. Anyone with $50 can go down to the corporate office and register a company. But when your sister is the Deputy Defense Minister, you get a private meeting with the Prime Minister. That's exactly what happened. The name of the company is Dominion Dynamics. Their chief lobbyist is the brother of the Deputy Defense Minister, who, in a separate matter, has already been censured by the Ethics Commissioner for cronyism. She got a job for her husband's cousin, who was unqualified as a manager for the Federal Public Service. He'd been working at a Good Life gym. So help me, I'm not making this up, Mike. And in this case, these characters got a private meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada, the leader of a G7 country, to discuss the technology of their drone factory that was not in production and did not have any drones. Mike, this is not, I'm not describing Zaire. This is on the level. This is how this town works. It's not about the politicians that you have to keep an eye on. It's the managers. And if you know a manager, it's like winning the Wheel of Fortune. All the doors swing open.
I can't help but think back, Tom, and I know this is going to get people's backs up at the very mention of this app, but ArriveCan, didn't we go through this just a few years ago?
And how? And to this day, the RCMP investigation is ongoing. I don't want to be gratuitously unkind, but the white-collar crime division at the RCMP is really a national joke, let's be frank. And the charges that will be pending, the search warrant and the raid of the company office of the lead contractor in a private home in Woodlawn, Ontario. Here we go. You can't get away with this at county council, but they're doing it. That it was for fraud and overbilling. The investigation is still underway. There are lifetime bans issued, but Mike, I tell you, people don't like to think in our country that we have a petty corruption problem, and sometimes not so petty. But in the government of Canada, we do. This is a statement of fact. If you have a friend, life can be sweet.
It certainly can. All right. It's not exactly sweet these days for firearms owners. We hear from them frequently on the show, the buyback program from the feds, etc. But what should these firearms owners know right now about their so-called assault-style rifles, Tom?
The amnesty for ownership under penalty of prosecution, arrest and prosecution, originally scheduled for April 2022, has now been deferred again. It was supposed to be this Halloween. Now it's off indefinitely to 2027. The advocates of tighter controls have expressed displeasure with what they see as government indecision. What they won't accept is what ironically, the Department of Public Safety accepts internally. We've seen this in in-house research. This is the government's own research. And they've asked gun owners, they've been told over and over and over, even firearms owners, licensed, law-abiding, tax-paying people, have said, I don't even own one of these blacklisted firearms. You don't know what you're doing. What did the last internal research show? Firearms owners think inner cities have the highest rate of firearms violence in Canada. This is a public safety survey. Just 10% think small towns and rural areas have the highest rates. The biggest causes of gun violence are gang violence, organized crime, and general criminal activity, end of quote. That's why the gun buyback program and the amnesty period is simply not going anywhere, because you have hundreds of thousands of law-abiding people who say, I'm not going to play ball. And in some Western provinces, Crown prosecutors have said, yeah, we're not interested.
Not interested at all.
This has been a problem with firearms control this goes back 30 years. Cabinet will not accept that they have a problem with guns being smuggled across the border. They know it's there, but they won't stop it. Maybe it's hard to stop it, but government is hard, and they asked for the job. And so instead, you keep going back to the same source, the sports shooter, the hunter, over and over to fill out more forms and get more permits, pay more fees, while the gun crime in Toronto and Montreal and other large cities speaks for itself. Those people are not sports shooters, and Cabinet just won't deal with it. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, they can check the box. That's why.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, we've done something on firearms, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I mentioned at the outset, Tom, how much I enjoy the work that you and the team at the Blacklocks Reporter do, and I know how carefully you source your stories and you are ensuring accuracy. I just want to make sure on this one now. Our federal housing advocate says we are going to meet the housing affordability target for Canadians in 1,000 years. Did you carry a one you shouldn't have carried, Tom?
Not a typo.
Oh,
absolutely.
My God.
This is Cabinet's advisor. This is not a gotcha moment. This is her annual report to Parliament. This is housing affordability for the people who are most hard up, the poorest income. But these are just wage earners. This is working poor. What did she say? I quote her accurately. Why characterize it when I can just read it? While Canada is committed to the right to adequate housing, current pace of building deeply affordable homes is so slow, it'd take 1,000 years. End of quote. Onward and upward. Faster, higher, stronger, Mike.
Hang in there, though, Tom. Hang in there. Affordability.
I can't wait for 1,000 years. It's going to be awesome.
Okay, one more before I let you go, because I don't know if we have to call Scooby and the gang or who to investigate this, but how does $20 million worth of specialty medication just vanish into thin air?
Keep an eye on this one, Mike. This has been the subject of a closed-door meeting of the Commons Health Committee and much nervous testimony by managers of the Public Health Agency. Recall, that's the same agency that had 2 Chinese spies working at the National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. Not my words, the words of the Security Intelligence Service. In this case, there was the loss of $20 million in biowarfare therapeutics. These are drugs really that are unobtainable on the internet. And there was a door that, this is the official version, if you can believe this. A door was left ajar on a freezer, and $20 million in biowarfare drugs were spoiled. Problem. There was a foreign national, this is on the record, was snooping around looking for addresses of warehouses, and MPs have asked, to the point that they can on the record, are you aware of foreign actors who wanted to know where the warehouses were, what specialty products they held, and why was there this mysterious loss? No comment. This is not good, Mike, but a good call, because there's something here, and everything comes out eventually.
We know you will be keeping your eyes on it as well as always. Tom, appreciate these chats. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Korski, managing editor at the Blacklocks Reporter, Canada's only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. Online, you can get your subscription at blacklocks.ca.